Hello, glad to be with you right now. This quick 10-minute training is about NetSuite reports and searches. This is just a quick and easy video. And when we talk about NetSuite reports, it's important to remember that it falls under a broader subject called Suite Analytics, which is as a whole encompasses dashboards, workbooks, searches, reports, and Suite Analytics Connect. So just a quick overview for these dashboards are the first thing that a user sees when one logs in and is designed to give important pieces of real-time information in bite-sized ways, very customizable depending on the role and even the user. And then workbooks, it's a powerful new addition to NetSuite, which allows creation of datasets for a variety of record types. Searches, which include saved searches, more on this later. This is what we're going to focus on later. And reports, and then Suite Analytics Connect, which is how NetSuite generally integrates with third-party reporting tools. So these are how we as NetSuite users poke and prod the data that is in NetSuite. Here's how to make sense of the flow of these trainings so far. Training number one, a couple months ago, is all about the correct way to get data into NetSuite. In other words, should you use expense reports, vendor bills, or plain old journal entries? Training number two is that now that the data is there, how do you adjust and correct the information that you entered? If you made a mistake for a donation or an invoice, how do you correct it? Now, training number three is how do we get the data out? There is so much information in the system, and how do we get the right information when we need it right now? So that's where reports, or in a broader sense, Suite Analytics come in. Because this is just a 10-minute video, we're not going to dive into each Suite Analytics tool. If you want to know more about dashboards, workbooks, searches, reports, and Suite Analytics Connect, go to the Help Center. That's that helpful little button on the upper right corner. Wherever you are in NetSuite, you'll see it. For specific applications within our organization, go to our one-stop shop, help shop, netsuite.helpscoutdocs.com. So what we will focus on in this training is I am going to build a saved search from scratch. Why a saved search? Why are we focusing here? When people think of getting information, the first thought generally goes to running a report. So we either try to look for a report that already exists, such as a balance sheet or income statement, then try to customize it maybe if we need to, which is great. So let's quickly look at the differences between reports and searches. So reports are point-in-time analysis. There's a natural hierarchical grouping, especially with GL accounts. You can see that the child account rolls up to a parent account and onwards, or a subsidiary rolls up to its parent subsidiary, for example. And then totals and subtotals are all there. It's a more polished, organized appearance and may include calculated fields and dimensions that are not available in a search. Searches, on the other hand, is a dynamic list of results. So if reports, you want to see something at a point in time, searches on a real-time, ongoing basis that you come back to over and over going forward. That's where searches are more appropriate. Searches may be easier to navigate and create. There's more flexibility with formulas. There's a highlighting capability, and it can be reused in many places, providing different displays of the results. And generally, I ask myself this: am I building something just for myself or something to share with other users, say another finance or operations team member, or something to present to the leadership team? If it's the last, then I would generally go with a report. It looks more polished, more organized, but also a bit harder to create. So generally, most of the time, you're going to be building searches as opposed to reports. And so it's important to be comfortable with creating one. So let's go to the demo here. Let's say we want to find particular transactions. And so I go to reports and new search here. So again, the term report is sort of used in different ways here because under the reports column, you can have searches and reports. But now that we're going to creating a search, you can see that there's all these different record types within NetSuite. So obviously with Crew, we have a lot more customized records that were not available out of the box. So it's a lot of things here. Most of the time, I look for a transaction. And if anything we're looking for involves a transaction, it's easier to start with the transaction type search and look for the other fields related to it than start with a different field, such as a vendor, a customer, and then look for the transaction related to it. So most of the time, I'll just recommend once you get to this search field, if what you're looking for is anything related to a transaction, just create a new transaction type search. So now in this screen, this is just kind of the simple search. You can create a search without intending to save it for the future, without intending to share it with other people. It's just you want to look for something right now and you want to find the information that you need. So let's do that. Say we want to look for, okay, before even doing anything else, if I'm at transaction search and click submit, what this will do is it will give me all the transactions in the system. No filters, just give me all the transactions. And here we are. So in our Andorra sample country, it's a tiny little country in Europe, we have 38 transactions in the system, ranging from donations in April 2019 to journals, expense reports, and transfers, all the way to some expense reports in February 2021. We want to narrow down our search. So let's return to criteria. So right now you're looking at two subtabs, criteria and results. If I go to, because this is a quick and easy, I'm looking for something that I need. But if I want something more complex, and let's go there right now, we're actually creating a saved search, say with an intention of, I'm going to save this. Whatever I'm doing right now is looking for information that I'm going to need going forward. So it will ask me for a search title and it will allow me to save it. You can see here that there's a lot of fields available here. And let me just tab back to my PowerPoint to give you something to compare it with. So, oh yeah, so there's a lot here. Criteria, results, highlighting, available filters, audience. These are a lot of options that are available for me as an accountant with my role. If you are a bookkeeper, that's your role, or even a finance leader, you won't be able to see these audience, roles, email. And the reason for that is for those roles, you cannot publish a search. You can create a search that you create for yourself and you can save it, but it won't be available to other users. For an accountant role and other roles out there, if I save this, I will be able to define who else can see it or what roles, or I can publish it to other users using email or even non-users. And if I can add their email here. So going back to the report, to the saved search that I'm creating. Earlier, we did not do anything. We just made this, we just ran a transactions search and it gave us all the transactions. But say I want to look for expense reports. So I'm just going to type here, the type is expense report. So I'm narrowing down my search to just expense report because, for example, I want to look for unapproved expense reports, say expense reports that are languishing in the system. So type expense report and approval status is pending approval. And then let's click preview. So we'll have a much smaller set of results. See, I have 7 lines here. And then so I can see these expense reports in front of me. Now, I also want to know why they are not approved. So the first question would be, who is supposed to approve them? I can add in the results, and I want it to show me who is supposed to be the next approver of this expense report. So I added these two lines here, which will be columns in the saved search that will be created. And I'm also going to remove some of these rows that we wouldn't need. Yeah, some of them will retain just to give us some information. So saved searches are very customizable. As you can see, I added a couple of columns and then I removed some. And then let's see how it will look like. So it's a lot cleaner now. This is the two fields that we added related to the expense report. So now we can clearly see why these expense reports are languishing in that pending approval status. You can see this set of lines here do not even have a next approver, right? For this next set of lines, it's simply because the approver has not seen it yet. So for example, if we drill into this specific transaction here, this was created today and Timothy just created it. And when David logs in, he will see this expense report. And if there's nothing wrong, then he will approve it. So let's go back to our search. There's a lot of other things that we can do with this search, and let me demonstrate a few of them at this point. You can see that actually these first 5 lines are of the same document. They have the same document number. It's just that the same report has multiple lines in it. If I want to see the results here, just show me 1 line per report. Then that means I can add in a criteria. I can do that several ways. One way would be to add as a criteria mainline is yes. So if mainline is true, then that means it will only show one result, which is just the main line for a particular transaction. And so we're expecting just 2 lines here. See, because the first 5 lines in the earlier result belong to the same document and the last 2 lines belong to the second document. The other way to do that would be, let's remove this main line here, and to have a grouping of results. So if I create a summary type of the document number, if I do this, that means in the results that you will show me, saved search, group all the transactions with the same document number in 1 line. And then let's add all these groupings as well. And then let's see what we get. So again, here's the result where the results that had these same fields were grouped as 1 line. And if we drill in, then we will go to the results. And then another drill in is we can get to the actual transaction that we want to see. So that's just a really quick demo of building a saved search from scratch. But you can see there's a lot of aspects, not just of building a saved search, but in NetSuite functionality and how we use NetSuite that we also were able to cover a little bit. And there's so much more. Again, it's 10 minutes. What can we see in 10 minutes, right? So let's go back to our slide deck here. We can have some and or logic with saved searches. In our example earlier, we tried to get type of transaction, expense report, and approval status of pending approval. That's an and. We can also have or not expressions by using some parenthetical logic. And then we can also include other group certain lines together. Some of them are ors, some of them are ands. And then we've seen some role permissions that we currently have, which is accountants can create and publish, and bookkeepers can create and save only for themselves. So that's it. Again, there's so many more to discover and learn with using NetSuite, and in particular, the reporting aspects of it. We can export results to spreadsheets. We can email out results. We can create email alerts when particular results are triggered. And it's a fun journey, and I hope that this short video is is helpful for you along that journey.